in this community because our children need us to be. We are in this community because the community needs us to be. And we're fighting very hard to change the face of North Avenue. We finally gotten the go-ahead from the city to demolish 14 of the 22 properties in this block for the new National Great Blacks in Wax Museum. And I know that my late husband Elmer worked so hard for this. We are a museum with a message, and that's another reason for us to be here, because we're not just wax, and I want everybody here, whether you've been to the museum before or whether you have not been to the museum, make sure you do not leave this building without going to the museum. Then you'll also understand why we do what we do and why what we do is so important. But I tell to our youth something that I'd like to leave and share with you now, which also makes the point that we need to be here. Our youth become a captive audience for me, particularly the teenagers, and particularly the young black African American males. I say to them and to children in general, you're in the world today, the blood of an ancestor flowing through your body right now, who was put on a slave ship, but who also did something unbelievable. They lived through that experience. And therefore, flowing through your body right now is the blood of an ancestor who gave you God's most precious gift, and that's life. And all they might ever ask of you, if they could, was that you treated that life as if you appreciated just how precious life can be. To understand that your ancestors died by the millions, they would probably find it crazy the way we kill one another today. That your ancestors found education worth dying for, they want you to be able to live for. That your ancestors would know a slave ship if they saw one, so they know the one that carried them across these shores. But they might be confused today by the frightening similarities between the slave ship and the penitentiary, the jail, the prison. The similarities are frightening. In both cases, we're talking about people being taken away in chains. In both cases, we're talking about people being given a number and having their identity taken away. In both cases, we're talking about people being branded, physically branded with the hot branding iron as a slave, legally branded a criminal. In both cases, we're talking about people being made property of the slave master and of the state. And in both cases, we're talking about people being confined. Your ancestors would know a slave trader if they saw one, so they know the one who sold them into an evil called slavery. But they might want you to be on guard for the ones who through drugs sell us into a slavery just as evil. They might want you to understand that there's still some work for you to do, because the shark of hatred and bigotry and racism still lurks in the waters. And they might need you to know that even something that seems so minor as going to a Burger King to have it your own way did not come without sacrifice. Some of your ancestors had to die so that you could get that right. And in the final analysis, they might ask only of you that you try to understand what your ancestors meant when they said, I am because we are, and because we are, I am. As I look around this room, I feel that that is very appropriate for all of us in this room. I'd like for you to repeat after me. I am because we are. And because we are, I am. And as I say to the children, give yourself. All right, I have the honor of introducing to you the other partner in this Mardi Gras at the National Great Blacks in Wax Museum, and that's Jill Teacher of the National Women's Hall of Fame. And Jill can tell you about the Hall of Fame and what they do. But our connection, first off, it came through Loretta Gubernatus, and much of what we do could not do without, we couldn't do without Loretta. So would you please give Loretta a hand? With Jill teaching in the National Women's Hall of Fame, we went to induction weekend a few weeks ago, and where they inducted 10 amazing women in Seneca Falls, New York. That's where the National Women's Hall of Fame is located. And it is the birthplace of the women's rights movement. And we carried with us 6 former inductees of the National Women's Hall of Fame. We took Dorothy Height and Billie Holiday and Fannie Lou Hamer and Zora Neale Hurston and Mary McLeod Bethune. I think Ida B. Wells. Yes. Ida B. Wells. And they, of course, were in their wax figure form. In case you think we actually took Dorothy Height or somebody. They were in their wax figure form. And they were, as I said, women from our collection who have, in years past, been inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame. And our exhibit was very well received. Southwest Airlines is our sponsoring or partner, and our figures travel all over the nation. And so it was because of Loretto introducing me to Jill, and Jill moving forward to see to it that our exhibit was brought to Seneca Falls, that we were able to do this. So again, I am proud of the partnership. We're continuing it and launching it here in Baltimore through this event. And they are 2 amazing women. Loretto, all of you know how amazing she is. And Jill, she wouldn't be who she is and do what she does if she were also not an amazing woman. So I present to you Jill Teacher.
It's absolutely a pleasure to be here in Baltimore. As Joanne said, my name is Jill Teachin. I'm the CEO of the National Women's Hall of Fame. And I'm glad there was a little space between the incredibly powerful comments that Joanne made and when I actually had to stand up here to start speaking. Women also are not recorded well in history. And that's actually part of the mission of the National Women's Hall of Fame, to ensure that women's stories are actually told. Friday night, October 23rd, this past Friday night, a movie opened. It's called Suffragette, and it's the story, it's set in London in 1912. We were able, over induction weekend, to do a special preview screening in Geneva, New York. If you are not familiar with the story of women's suffrage in the United States, although it's not as painful as the slavery story, it is still a painful story. From the first Women's Rights Convention held in Seneca Falls at the Wesleyan Chapel in 1848 until women got the right to vote on August 26, 1920, was 72 years of work by women to get the right to vote. The final state to ratify, the 36th state to ratify the 19th Amendment of the United States Constitution was Tennessee, and the margin of victory was 1 vote. A young man whose mother wrote him and told him, encouraged him to vote for women's suffrage. The men and women of Seneca Falls decided that an appropriate place to honor women's stories and to showcase great women was Seneca Falls, New York, the birthplace of women's rights. We have to write women, we have to write minorities into our history so that we can celebrate all of these people. And that's why I am so pleased to be able to partner with the National Great Blacks and Wax Museum. We're delighted to be here today, and thank you all for coming.
This event, as I mentioned, was both facilities, and Gloria, my wonderful host, got hung up at the mansion. So she was going to introduce us all, and I'm going to turn it over to her. But
greetings all. How you doing? my first rodeo, so I'm gonna make it very good. It is a privilege to be here. I thank Loretto. How we met is just funny. It was fate, if you will. She's introducing me to a lot of people that I only heard about or read about, but it feels good when you get to know them and you can see them and you can ask them questions, because for me it becomes real. So I'm Gloria Holden Jr. Okay, Miss Rachel Jones from the Senator Mikulski staff. So could we welcome Miss Jones?
Good afternoon. It is a pleasure to be here with you all on behalf of U.S. Senator Barbara Mikulski, your very own Baltimore Grove Senator. These are two great organizations, two great museums that we're here to sort of celebrate and be a part of what you're doing here. So to Dr. Martin and to Jill, the Senator greatly appreciates your vision for both people of color and highlighting the struggles and the history of African Americans, but also for women, because as it's already been mentioned here today, those are two groups that in a polarizing sort of amount of in a polarizing way, people are still very uneducated or undereducated about the struggles that both those groups have faced, but also the achievements of great women and great African Americans. And these are two museums that are struggling, two organizations, women's foundations, who are struggling to highlight those things to people who may not be aware. And so we thank you for all that you've done, all that you've put into that to make sure that people do know and understand their history. And we thank you just for your time and your dedication and commitment to it. And so we wish you success in these efforts.
Rachel, can you just say something because is in the hall?
Yes, actually, yes.
She's an inductee.
Yes, she is. She is the longest serving woman in the history of the U.S. Senate. And so, so thank you all.
Now the next person on the podium will be Miss Talithia Williams, and I pray that I said your name correctly. Wonderful. Thank you. Ms. Williams is part of the American Coalition of Education, and she's representing UMBC. So let's give her a round of applause, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Talithia Williams. I am spending the year this year at University of Maryland at Baltimore County and as an American Council on Education Fellow. And so I have the privilege of shadowing Dr. Freeman Rabowski, who's one of the sponsors of today's event. And he's out of town right now, and so he sent me in his stead, and I was excited to go because I got to bring my family. These are my husband and my boys that you see running around. They were so excited to come and share in this moment. I wanted to highlight one person in particular, Mary McLeod Bethune, who's featured in both of the organizations because of her work not only for African Americans but also for women. Many of you will know Mary McLeod Bethune is the founder of Bethune-Cookman now University in Florida. So a little bit about her. In October of 1904, she rented a small house for $11 a month. Who doesn't wish we could rent $11 a month? Making benches and desks out of discarded crates and obtaining items through charity. During this year, Bethune used $1.50 to start the Literary and Industrial Training School for Negro girls in Daytona. She had 6 students, 5 girls, 6 to 12, and her son Albert. She chose Daytona because of its economic opportunities and possibilities, and it was a popular tourist destination. The school bordered Daytona's dump, and Bethune and her parents and the church raised money by making sweet potato pies, ice cream, and fried fish, and selling them to construction crews. I mean, they made a lot of money selling those sweet potato pies. They made ink pens from elderberry juice. They made pencils from burned wood, and they scrounged local businesses for furniture. Bethune wrote later, "I considered cash money as the smallest part of my resources. I had faith in a loving God, faith in myself, and a desire to serve." The school received donations of money, equipment, and labor from local black churches. She also courted wealthy white organizations like the Ladies Palmetto Club and asked powerful white men to sit on the board of the school. These included James Gamble of Procter & Gamble and Thomas White of White Sewing Machines. And there's this beautiful quote that she gives when she's talking about the vision of the school. And she says, "We burned logs and used charred splinters as pencils. For ink, we mashed up elderberries. Strangers gave us a broom, a lamp, some old cretonne to drape around the ugly packing case, which served as my first desk. Day after day, I went to the city dump and visited trash piles behind hotels, looking for discarded linen and kitchenware, cracked dishes, and shattered chairs. I became adept at begging for bits of old lumber, bricks, and even cement. Salvaging, reconstructing, and making bricks without straw were all part of our training. One day, a potential benefactor entered my office, which was furnished with crates and broken down chairs, and asked, "Where is this school you want me to be a trustee of?" "In my mind," I answered, "in my soul." And so I'm excited about the vision that you and your husband started years ago, and this vision is manifested into what we are all enjoying today. I'm going to leave you with the comment that Freeman wrote himself. Reflections on Mary McLeod Bethune. He says, "I can think of no other educator in the history of American higher education with a more profound and inspiring story than that of Mary McLeod Bethune, a brilliant visionary woman who became friends with First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt. She was an admired teacher during the most difficult period of American history. Dr. Bethune is a wonderful reflection of American democracy at its best, and it's only fitting that we salute her. As students of Bethune-Cookman University can read each day as they pass her home, and the stone marking her grave, she has given her best that others may have a more abundant life." Thank you.
I'm sorry, I just want to add that the wax figure of Dr. Freeman Hrabowski is downstairs in this museum. Thank you. So you must see the figure of Dr. Freeman Hrabowski. Like Mary McLeod Bethune, an amazing educator. Time Magazine named him, and Newsweek and so many other publications named him one of the top 10 educators and presidents, college presidents in the nation. Somebody has in the world. But for me, what is his legacy is that believing in our youth, he has educated more PhDs. He has graduated more African American PhDs in the STEM professions, and particularly engineering, than anyone in history. Dr. Freeman Hrabowski. I'd like to make some special presentations along with John Wilson. The distinguished gentleman standing here is John Wilson, the Deputy Director of the National Great Blacks and Whites Museum. So, John and I have some presentations to make. My husband Elmer and I, over the course of much of our very long marriage, wrote 4 books, and I am presenting 2 of those books, 2 to Jill and 2 to Loretto, for being a part of this partnership and for just allowing Great Blacks and Whites to have them come into our lives. I'll start with Jill. The first book that Elmer and I wrote, The Black Extended Family, and the whole premise, even though this is my family on the cover, and right there in the corner is my father, and it was published by the University of Chicago Press, and I called my father and asked him if he saw, because they sent books to all of the adult members who are on the book, and I asked my father if he saw his picture, and there was this silence, because that was typical my father. He had to turn things over in his mind, and when he was ready to speak, then he spoke, and it was usually brilliant. But I said, "So Daddy, do you see it?" And I'm so excited, and he says, after this long pregnant pause. I don't see me on that book. So I had to explain to him that he was, right there at the bind and all of that. But it's not about my family. It's the fact that when we talk about extended families, sociologists and social scientists tend to see it as a Walton-like structure where you have several generations, like the Waltons, the TV show The Waltons, living in a household. What we're saying is for the black extended family, it crosses geographical lines. So you've got that grandmother in Wilson, North Carolina, who and that young man in Baltimore, and he's acting up, and you send him to Wilson, North Carolina, and you've got this network of families, so that uncle in Baltimore County is taking these kids to ball games and being a disciplinarian. And so social scientists write about it as if there are no men taking a positive role and a role of authority in our families, and that there's a transfer of dominance and so forth. So you've got a system in place, so if that dominant family figure, the head of the family, usually an elderly female, if she dies, she has groomed somebody to take her place and so forth. So that's this book. And then Spirituality in the Black Healthy Tradition. This was published posthumously after my husband's death. He died in Egypt. He and I were on a study trip. So Jill, on behalf of me and in memory of Dr. Elmer Martin, thank you very much. One of the book, the last book that I mentioned, that and these two were published by the National Association of Social Workers Press. My husband was a lifelong social worker. He died in 2001, as I said, in Egypt. And this one, the publishers refer to this as that great little blue book. And it's outsold everything. And it's been in publication a long time, so I'm just fighting to make sure that doesn't change. So Loretto is the helping tradition in the black family and community. And we talk about, one of the interesting things is that when you read it, what you will find is that there were social scientists who said, and I'll read it to you because it's shocking, really. But we say the definition of tradition is classic, but according to noted social scientists, black Americans have no history, no culture, and no traditions. Even some sociologists who have produced major studies on black people maintain that blacks have no traditions. For example, Odom, after devoting much of his scholarly work to the study of blacks, claimed that they have no pride of ancestry. Myrdal, who produced a highly regarded study on black people, categorically stated that if blacks have a tradition, it is warped or pathological. Gardner and Oversee, after an extensive probe into the black psyche, concluded that blacks have no intrapsychic defenses, no pride, no group solidarity, no tradition, and on it goes. So it was our job to debunk that, and I feel that we did that. And Loretto, you embrace our concepts of mourning, M-O-A-N-I-N-G, mourning, M-O-U-R-N-I-N-G, and morning, oh what a bright morning. And we want to do something with that. This is the book where that concept is developed, so I want to make sure that you have it. And you keep talking about having talked to Dr. Elmer, so he wants you to have it as well.
I'm going to cry when I say this, but my husband's in hospice right now. And 2001, she lost her husband. And I started top of the morning then. And Joanne was one of the first guests on the show. And to this point, I've been with them, and I tell her, every time I feel like giving up, because she's so hard on me, I hear Elmer, and he keeps saying, keep doing it, and I tell her this. And recently, the social worker who came in just the other day, I was able to put on the phone with Joanne because she had been a student of Elmer's. And the social worker coming and talking and telling my husband And Albert that day had said, I'm here, and I said, well, get out of my house, I'm tired of you, you know? And then this woman walked immediately in the door, and Joanne called at that moment. Now that's meant to be. That is definitely meant to be. And as a country, we have not mourned our many, many citizens who could have been doctors or who cured cancer, who were lynched, who were murdered. And we have to mourn them as citizens of our country, not the way we keep sweeping everything under the carpet. We have to mourn it. And we will not heal as a nation till we come together in mourning.
And John Wilson, Deputy Director of the National Great Glass Award.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. When you better that, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Absolutely. Really appreciate what's going on today, but you know, all this came about because of someone's vision and someone wanting to do something to help two museums. I don't know about you guys, but normally in my church, whenever we're getting something done, Pastor, let's get all the ladies together because they make things happen. That's just the way it is. Amen. That's just the truth of the matter. And when we really want to get it done, you know, my daughter now is teaching at Towson, and she teaches women's and gender studies, and she keeps trying to make me a feminist. And I said, I thought I had to be a woman to be a feminist. She said, no, I didn't know. But you know, but learning the plight of women and understanding the struggle even more, becoming more sensitive to it. You know, and I'm beginning to understand even more and more the struggle of our women and the great things that they've done. But this event was a vision of someone very, very special who's been a friend of the museum for a long time. And back to my church roots, there's a song we used to sing, give me my flowers while I can smell them. You know, no good in giving someone flowers and they're laying up there in state and we're all crying and they can't really appreciate it. Well, we want to do this right now. And I asked Loretta if she'd come up again because we have a special award for you. This is a recognition of what you've done, just not today, but for the museum for all these years. The Top of the Morning Show, the show that she has always put the museum out there in a very, very positive light and has always shown forth doing quality, great work. And we want to give you this as an appreciation from the museum, from the staff, from Dr. Martin, our board and our staff. We want to commemorate the work that you've done and let you know that we love you, we appreciate the work that you've done, and it's not being in vain. And we see the fruits of the labor, and we expect to see even greater things right now. So we appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'm sorry. Turn it the other way. Presented with gratitude and pride to Mary Loretta Gubernales for being a champion of and for the National Great Blacks and Wax Museum and for having a kind and loving heart by your Great Blacks and Wax Museum family, Sunday, October 25th, 2015.